Welcome back to Combustion Junction. I'm Steve, and we are out on what is one of our first test rides on the 400 Cafe Racer. It's a beautiful day. We've had awful weather this spring, and I've actually been meaning to do this video for months now, thinking that, typical Ontario, Toronto weather, spring comes on and it gets nice pretty quickly. But no, it was really up until a couple weeks ago that there wasn't much, there was riding, there was a lot of rain. Anyway, but I finally got this together, and I actually took the opportunity to do a few small updates on this bike that I thought needed to be done. And what we'll actually do in a minute is we'll stop somewhere and just have a little look at a few of the, not upgrades, but changes that I made. Some are upgrades, some are just maintenance things that need to be done. But first things first, welcome back. I know I've been pretty sporadic on my videos of late. And that's just, there's no other excuse other really than just life. Has it just kind of, got in the way, good or bad. It was there and had to be dealt with. So I had to sort of make the executive decision to relax from the channel a little bit, because there was just some things that just needed my full concentration. And while I had the time and resources to do it, I just decided to go there. And anyway, I think it's good once in a while to take a break. You hope that the people that subscribe stay subscribed and, dig what you're doing. Just doing a little adjustment on the camera. And look forward to your return. The upgrades I've done to the bike, we'll talk about that in a second when I get off, and hopefully I can flip on my phone and we can just do a rock around and show you the few things. This is one of my really first rides. I've got temporary tags on it right now, so I'm allowed to ride it around for about 10 days until I can get it sort of inspected by the government and, given the sign off. All vehicles that you purchase or want to put on the road need to go through this inspection here in Ontario, where, make sure your tires are good, your brakes are good, your bearings are good, your steering doesn't have any dead spots, your electrical works and everything like that. So I've been, all my other riding has sort of been like up and down my street, sort of just checking out, making sure, the basics work. But this is really the first opportunity that I have to really get out and ride this thing. And I gotta say, man, this thing is awesome. Still dialing in the carbs a little bit. The jetting I did definitely works. The bike definitely has some good pull to it. There's a little bit of a flat spot, like right where I am right now, coming out, and then as soon as I get past it, she just flies. Awesome. A little bit of popping. I think I'm still running a little bit lean, but I don't get it all the time. So I'll probably, when I get back today, I'll just have a little bit of adjustment on the jets and stuff and see how that goes. But overall, I gotta say, there's the ongoing discussion about, the comfort level of, doing these sort of cafe racer builds and how it's all about style and not about comfort. I gotta say, this bike is super comfortable to ride. It's, for, a generic sort of aftermarket seat, it feels great. It's really comfortable. I haven't moved the foot pegs, and I don't really feel the need to. I feel very nicely centered and grounded as the bike sits now. As you know, I have the clip-on handlebars here, and I made the choice, and it was almost a style choice rather than anything else in the beginning, to have them above the triple clamp, just because I like the look of it. I like the way it kind of, the whole thing kind of blended with the Speedo and everything. But I gotta say, the comfort level of where they are, you kind of get the best of both worlds. And I'm paranoid. I'm gonna go get some gas before I do this little drive, because I don't want to get abandoned. Because literally the gas I have in this tank is for test rides only. And there you go, buddy. You You take your time. It's actually the next day, and I sort of had to cut things short yesterday after I got gas, because I started leaking gas out of the carbs, and it's something that has sort of been happening on and off since I first kind of got this bike going. And first it was the left-hand side that was actually leaking, and then I took everything apart and sort of, did the blow-through test, made sure everything was sealed and it was all good. And then once I put it back together, the right-hand carb was pouring like crazy. Like I couldn't actually I actually ended up taking the floats from an extra set of carbs that I had, newer set, that it just seemed to seal a little bit better. So yeah, so that's the longer of what should have been a really short story as to why it's the next day, and we're just on our way now to a nice little quiet road where we can just walk around the bike and just talk about the changes I've made since I've done the builds. I was looking at the footage from yesterday driving around, and I think it's really cool. So I'm using the Insta361X to do these shots. Just a really fun way to use the camera. And actually, if you check out, I play in a band as well, and I've been doing some really cool affected videos using this camera. If you go on Instagram and check out the just_band, you'll see some pretty funky videos that I've been doing with this camera. But I also wanted it for this purpose. I just didn't want to strap a GoPro on my helmet. I wanted to try and get sort of third-person perspective going. And when I saw what you could do with this camera, I thought it was pretty cool. So if anybody's wondering what it is, it's the 360 camera. It's got its own software to make it stick disappear, which is why you don't see it. Like if I grab it there, that's me grabbing the pole. But when I really zoomed in on me, it almost looked green screen-ish. Like it looked like I was separate from the background. It had a really cool sort of 70s cop movie style driving scene, which I thought was pretty fun. I didn't expect to get that, and it was a good surprise. Ugh. All right, let's pull up here. There's a really cool wall here that I wanted to get a couple of nice pictures of anyway, but I'm not sure if I have good light on it. But it's a one-way street, so I'm not going back. What's first? Taillight. The LED taillight totally gave out. Half the lights burnt out, and I had another one, but it kind of annoyed me. This is actually the taillight I had picked for the Scrambler, and I ended up repurposing it to this bike because it was this bike that I actually originally bought it for. And there was a couple other reasons. I wanted to get the license plate up. It used to be down there. I wanted to get up here and lit in for safety purposes, so that no one could give me any shit for not having a illuminated license plate. Obviously, you've seen the change in the gas tank. The seat has actually moved up slightly just to get that contour a bit better, and you can see a little bit more of this exposed, which actually helped me relocate the brake light. So that's okay. You can see much nicer filters than I had on it before. I also have the breather on the cylinder head. 2-into-1 Mac exhaust. I actually pulled the trigger. The other exhaust I made was fine, except it was killer loud. It was so loud, I was hesitant to tune it in my driveway. It was that loud. And I didn't want this to be you know, it's still loud enough, and it still definitely is heard, but it was really freaking loud. So I figured just for the bike, just to get it, you know, and it tunes a little bit better, and it's great how these pipes are nice and tucked in to the engine and wrap around. It really cleans it up well. I did want to get actually the full black with the reverse cone, but nobody had it in stock. This was the best I could get without waiting a month or more for it. Obviously, I've got mirrors put on. I did a new headlight. I got rid of the sort of the generic plastic bucket and everything. This is the same bucket that I have on the Scrambler. I really like it. I really like the shape and the fit, except I went with sort of a more Cafe Racer look with the ring on it and stuff. When you put the high beams on, the ring turns off, and when the regular low beam is on, the ring is on. That's just kind of how I wired it, and I thought it was cool. What else? I had to actually. That's a replacement brake cylinder. It's my cylinder, even though it had been rebuilt, and maybe it was because it had been rebuilt. There's two bolts that sort of hold the whole thing together, and one of them was stripped out and had a not a nut cert, but a tap. You know, the sort of the coil tap thing in it, and it just wasn't holding it tight enough. So when you squeeze the brake, you could actually see the entire thing kind of heave in and out, and it just it wasn't working efficiently. Obviously, you want your front brakes to be as good as they can. So I found that on eBay. It's like it was complete, had new brake pads, you know, all the fittings and everything came with it, and so I was actually kind of pretty happy that that was an easy swap and fix. But yeah, there it is. It's looking great. It's running great. I'm very, very happy with it. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. Thanks so much for tuning in if you have, and thank you for making it to the end if you have. I'm dying to get back into the garage and get on those bikes, and hopefully that's going to happen within the next week or two. I don't have a set date yet, but when it does happen, I think it'll happen pretty hardcore, because I really do want to get that Scrambler out this season. I'd love to get one of these videos on the dirt with it. I think that'd be a pretty cool thing. So stay tuned for that. Be sure to give me a thumbs up. It really helps me out a lot, and I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed, hit that button, hit the bell if you want a notification. Like I said, there's lots of things coming for me soon, and yeah, I appreciate you guys keeping on board. So we will see you next time, guys. Cheers.